Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Shaun, and I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This is Imran, and he is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 43, and we're going to kick things off with our out of context weekly scenarios. This is the part of the show where me and Imran give each other a section of our week out of context, and the other person has to try and guess what's going on. So, Imran, what is your out of context weekly scenario?
Okay, so AI Jesus.
Eh, Um, okay, that's not. I was expecting something like skiing of some
I
sort.
was gonna do something skiing, but like this came up in my week, and I was like, you know what, I have to try win one this week. So
Okay. Did this happen at any point while you were skiing?
no,
No. So okay. Did this happen in work?
no,
Was this at home?
yes, yeah,
Okay. Was it just you and Nicola?
no,
So you Nicola and friends.
yes,
Were you playing some sort of game?
no,
I'm assuming at some point you were talking about like Christmas or religion.
no,
No. Okay.
no,
Was this anything got to do with like, I'm assuming faith in some form was talked, not George Michael's version, but like
no, no,
the
no,
general consensus of
no,
faith. No. Um, were you putting up decorations for Christmas
no,
with someone?
no.
Okay. I I think like without like the filler around it, I'm assuming like you chat GPT'd a photo of Jesus in some form.
No,
No.
no, no.
So wait, so AI Jesus is what you said to me, yeah?
Yeah, AI Jesus. Okay, the context, it's something to do with Switzerland, and then I'll give you the promise of like it was like something was posted in our Switzerland group chat with like our friend group chat here.
Did somebody send in like a happy Christmas message
No,
with a photo of a very obviously AI? No.
no, no.
Well, was it like the group chat was firing on all cylinders? You know, laughs were being had, banter were being had, and like it was some sort of in joke, and someone
No,
sent in what the fuck? All right. This is
no.
the toughest one
Yeah,
to give
yeah,
me in
yeah, yeah.
weeks.
That's what I was saying. I was saying because the past 3 weeks have been mad easy. So,
Okay.
but I'll give you like you're in the right area. Like it's in between a group chat, and that's how it kind of started.
Is it if Nicola's involved? I'm assuming it's a group of friends or like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, but it's nothing to do with Christmas.
Nothing to do with Christmas, no.
Is one of your friends called Jesus
No.
or Jesus?
Jesus. Jesus. No.
Okay. Um. What the like? Was somebody like making Jesus do something? Like something
Well,
something you wouldn't expect Jesus to be doing, like I don't know, surfing.
no, no. But yeah, obviously, I mean, it's AI Jesus, so you know what I mean.
Well, is Jesus is he's performing his duties as so told by the Bible in some form? Is he?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're
Okay.
on. You're exactly where. Like, I'm gonna give it to you because I felt like it was a tough one, and like you were able to break it down very good. So basically, we're in. I was coming home from work, and I was on the bus on the way back home, and a message was put in our group chat about something that was new to Switzerland, right? And the reason that it was a big thing was because we had like all started talking about it then for like 10 minutes, being like, this is wild, this is mad, right? So basically, there's a city in Switzerland called Lucerne. It's about 2 hours away from Thun. And recently, what they've started doing in one of the churches is they're using AI to let people chat with a digital Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm being serious, right? So I have like something here just like that I pulled up because just to read out. So one of the country's oldest churches has introduced an AI-powered digital Jesus inside its confessional booth. The installation is called Deuce in Machina, was created in collaboration with a local university researchers to explore how people connect with artificial intelligence in a spiritual setting. Visitors can ask the AI questions in more than 100 languages with responses.
That is
Is that a mental,
that
man?
is That is one of the most like. Do you know what? Like, I'm not like I use AI sometimes. Like, no, I'm not somebody
Yeah, of
that
course we all do. Yeah.
dismisses it. But like that's one thing where I just didn't expect AI to be popping up the church. Like that's
No.
mad. That is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
mad.
But like that got put in the group chat, and like one of the persons in the group chat is she's Muslim, and even she was like, "That is wild." Like she was like, "I could never see that being like put in like a Muslim setting, like in a mosque or anything."
Yeah, like that is like this is like one of the reasons I don't trust. This is one of the reasons I don't trust the church more like the Catholic Church, right? Because like that is something I could see happening in Ireland, and like like I could see priests charging for that. Like it's like, oh, there's a €5 service fee for that, and they're just pocketing that. You know, like
That's what I want. That's what I want to find out. Like, are they actually charging people to do this? And one of our friends actually lives in Lucerne, so you never know. Maybe in the next week or so, I might we might go pay a visit just to see what it's like.
that's that's really.
It just shows the dangers, man, of AI and like how we're moving forward with it. It's
I
just
would say,
crazy.
right, I like I'm very like, just because I work in social media and stuff, like
Yeah,
a lot of the time when people talk about like giving up their data, and yeah, the way like some people would like have a freak show about like, oh, somebody's stealing my data. It's like I'm one of the people that's very like, lads, they are using your data to sell you socks. That's what
yeah,
they're like. I'm very
yeah.
like, I get how I, just because I work in it, I know how like these ad things work in the background. I'm very like, people like, guys, calm down. That's kind of like, people go in there to mourn people and
hmm
have
Share their confessions
DMCs
and
with like
yeah, yeah.
with the powers that be that they believe in. This is 2 weeks in a row where religion has come up on the podcast. Well, did we not have a slight discussion on religion like a week or two ago
Yeah, kind of
as well?
slightly, yeah. But this is kind of not on the right context. But yeah, I'll give it to you, even though you weren't able to pinpoint it. But
Yeah, no,
I felt like you were in the right zone, so I'll give
yeah.
it to you.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was in your position, I wouldn't have given it to me. But
Yeah,
anyway, no, thanks for that. I appreciate that.
man of the
Um,
people.
man, this is it. This is it.
That's it. All right, so I'll let you go. What's
Okay,
your out of context scenario?
so on the flip side, so I've had some not very easy ones the last few weeks, and
Yeah,
this week has been boring in like a good sense of like, it's
mundane.
been quite
A
mundane.
well-needed mundane week. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and I had two very mundane things that I was going to say, but I had them before we started recording, and I can only remember one of them now. So,
Okay.
um, I'm gonna say, how will I say this without like, it's good, it's very easy. You probably will get this quite quickly. I'm gonna say my out of context weekly scenario was a commemorative biscuit.
A commemorative biscuit.
Yeah,
A commemorative biscuit. Okay, is it a OG biscuit that you used to have when you were a kid?
kind of. Yeah,
Yeah, so is it like a ginger nut
more
bourbon
about
biscuit?
more about the memory part.
The memory part. Has it
Yeah,
anything to
like,
do with me?
yes.
Yes. Okay, biscuits, me. You. Biscuits. Try use your brain. Biscuits. Is it like digestive biscuit with a T?
No, no, but it's something you would
Is it
definitely have with tea.
is it one of my favorite biscuits?
Yes,
Is it Jaffa Cakes?
yes,
So you had Jaffa Cakes with your tea?
yeah.
That is a mundane week for you.
There was nothing that like really stuck out that like I
But
could
I thought you don't like Jaffa
share.
Cakes.
I don't mind them.
Okay, okay.
I'm not like, it's weird. I don't like cake. I
Yeah.
don't like orange chocolate, and I don't like dark chocolate.
This is like the
But
thing I used
I
to
don't
talk to
mind the
you
Jaffa
about.
cake, and I just think like with Jaffa cakes, like I didn't buy them. I must say, like Simone just like stuck them in our shopping bag, but I just
Mm.
had one the other day, and like the kind of like full context to the story was like, I had two Jaffa cakes with my cup of tea, and I kind of just went, oh,
Uh,
I just started thinking of you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Nice, nice.
reminiscing on good times, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
Like, that's
But
like the, yeah,
didn't we
that's
used to talk about, and I used to ask you all the time about, like, is Jaffa Cake a cake or a biscuit?
it's a
Remember we used
biscuit.
to, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. I think we have. I think I brought this up. Or, like, I used to ask you this question all the time.
It's a
Because I would
biscuit.
count I would count it the same that is a biscuit, but there's like this kind of like thing on Reddit, or I know Reddit threads, people like dilemma that is it a biscuit, is it not a biscuit, because it has, it's branded as cake,
Yeah,
but
I
you know,
it It's what's it like? It's like that thing of is a hot dog a sandwich? You ever hear
Yeah,
people say it's like,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Of course, it's a fucking
Of
sandwich.
course,
It's
it's
bread
sandwich.
and
It's
meat in the
bread
middle of
and
it.
meat. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's like I get what I don't like fully disagree with the cake sentiment of a Jaffa cake. Like I get what you're after because they are basically just small cakes because you've got your sponge, you got
Mm.
your jelly filling, and you've got a layer on top which is chocolate, right? But it's more the size of said delivery system. You know, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
once you're going less than the size of the palm of your hand, I think to call that a cake is kind of stretching it a little bit, and you
True,
know,
true. But you know
yeah,
what else as well though? Like they so like you're saying there like hot dogs are like considered a sandwich. Well, like we would consider it a sandwich. But then like if you go to anywhere on the menu, like I'd say like snacks would be like paninis, and then you'd never see a hot dog in that section because normally like hot dogs are served with like fries on the side,
yeah.
or you might get the hot dog with I don't know, let's say onion rings or something like that. So like I always wondered like why is that considered then a meal? Like it's a main rather than like a light size snack, even though both of them consisted the same as a bread.
Yeah, I think it's more like kind of the heaviness of it. I think because like
Yeah.
sandwiches, I think when you think of like a sandwich when you go out like to a cafe or a restaurant, like sandwiches tend to be a lot like lighter. Whereas
Mm,
like if you think of like a hot dog or like so
a
like no so,
burger or
a
something like that.
burger or something like that, they're usually a bit denser.
Thicker.
They're made to kind of fill you for the evening.
Mm,
Sandwiches kind of tread that middle ground, but a burger
mm,
again is a sandwich because it's
yeah.
two slices of bread or
It's a
one
hot
slice of
omelet.
bread.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Exactly, you know,
yeah.
it's yeah. I'm really not here. I take no fucking shit on this kind of debacle. It's like man, like Jaffa Cakes a biscuit, and you know, that dress from 10 years ago was black and blue, and it wasn't red and gold or whatever it was. Do you
Oh
remember
no!
that from back in the
Yeah,
day?
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh man, that pops up like randomly on my For You page, like here and there, like every couple of years, being like, oh,
Yeah,
this was like 10 years ago. I think it was like gold and white and silver and blue. I think that was like the two options.
I know what I saw because it came my For You page again recently because it was like things that are 10 years old this year, and it was that, and I remember seeing a black and blue dress because that's what it fucking is. Um,
Yeah, because some
and
people saw gold.
white and
I don't
gold, I
know.
think maybe it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, wasn't it? It was something like that. But it was yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Like that's like the definition of like first world problems, where like this that type of
yeah,
cake
yeah.
takes over the
This
world,
is the
isn't it?
biggest
You know.
dilemma that we're dealing with. Like,
I just remembered my second one. If
okay, go on.
that one was
Let's go.
they're both piss, right? They're both
Here,
so
let me
they're
see if I
both
can get
like
2 points this week.
yeah, they're both like 7 Up light. You know, they're both
Okay,
very easily
right,
digestible and get in
all
there.
right.
I'm just gonna say a long-awaited milestone.
A long-awaited milestone. Has this anything to do with the kind of the context of our topic for this week without giving it away?
No,
No. A long-awaited
I
milestone.
don't want to like
Have you
drag this out
finished
too much.
the show you're watching?
No,
Has it
so
anything to do with your music career?
no,
No. Hmm.
I don't want
Hmm.
to like because we've already done like two
Mm-hmm.
dilemmas and stuff.
Mm.
So
Mm.
what's like something I've been doing for the last while?
Something you've been doing for the last while, and it has nothing to
That
do with your music, nothing to do
no,
with watching a show.
I've talked about it on the podcast quite a lot as well.
Oh
Or
no,
you at
now I'm
least
gonna come
used to.
across as the bad friend. Um,
No, and then to
uh,
be fair, I haven't like posted about this or not, and this would be just. But like you should. I would imagine you should be able to work it out. So this would be something I've been working on actively daily.
actively daily. Oh, the gym. The
Yes.
gym. Have you finished your gym plan?
No. Well, yeah, you're on the right track. I haven't finished that,
Okay.
but I did do something else.
Oh, did you get a PR in like a specific exercise you're doing?
Not an exercise, but something else got to do with that. You're like 80% there.
Not an exercise, but something to do with the gym anyway. Have you hit the weight goal you wanted to get down to?
Sort of. Yes, I'll give that to you. Right. I get that. I'll give that to you. Right.
Do
Um,
baby.
because the full context behind that is, and this is like purely just a gloating thing, because I don't preach about myself too often, but I'm fucking proud of myself. And it was like when I passed my driving test. I will shout about something when I'm proud of something that I've done.
Yes, B. Yes,
Um,
B.
but I wanted to by the end of the year get under £300, and as of last week I was 297 pounds.
Yes,
So my,
sir, ski.
my
Yes,
start
sir,
weight
ski.
was 370, so I'm down about
Damn,
70
man.
pounds. So
That's
that's for
class.
anybody who measures differently. It's this, like I said, this is fully me gloating because I
As you
only gloat
should,
when
though.
I'm proud of
Yeah,
something.
yeah, for yourself. Yeah, yeah.
So it's about 72 pounds. That's like 5 stone, and it's like 26 kg ish, something like that.
Is that crazy to think about, like, when you first started trying to lose the weight, like, to think where you've come now?
Yeah, like I
A
still have
long
to
way
kind
to
of
go.
double that.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of only halfway through it. Like, but I've noticed it. There was like I was watching stuff back from the podcast from months ago, just randomly, and like I
Mm.
can just see it in my face on the
That's what I was
clips.
going to say after you said that, because me and Nicola were kind of talking about the podcast last week, and Nicola was saying that she started watching a couple of the episodes on YouTube just because she hasn't really had time to like log into Spotify because we kind of share my account.
Mm.
And she was saying that like the one thing she noticed was like the difference in the weight that was coming off your face. And I'm kind of the same. Like when I gain a bit of weight, like I get weight on my face as well. And like I've noticed it as well with the podcast for you, like over the past like I'd say like 15 to 20 episodes, like you can see a big difference like in your appearance and your face and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I'm
no,
sure
yeah,
like
I was.
it is like good for your confidence as well, like that you're consistently sticking with it.
Yeah, I just like I'm just happy that I'm as motivated as I am now as I was
Yeah.
in May when I started. Like I started this like, and it's like I had seen when I last saw you guys in person. Like I was only a couple of weeks into it, so like I
Hmm.
probably had only lost like maybe like 5 to 10 pounds when I actually seen you guys. Like I hadn't lost a lot at all. But yeah, I was proud of that one this week. Like I'd said to myself I wanted to get under 300 by the end of the year, which now I've done.
Class.
And so I'm giving myself like up till next May. Like I've been going at it, like really hard in terms of like gymming 3 days a week. Like I only take one day off from like not exercising because I'll gym 3 days a week and I'll play football twice a week. Or if I only play football once, I'll like get out and do like a good walk and get like my
Yeah,
ten
yeah,
thousand steps in. Like I'll
yeah.
have one day, which is usually a Thursday, where I'll take that as like a full like kind of rest day, and that's the day before I weigh myself every week. Like so I feel like it gives my body a chance to like any like muscles that were
Reset and so
like
sore
doing
and
its
everything.
thing. But yeah, I was proud of that one this week, I have to say.
Class, man. It's good just to show like that consistency works. With most things, if you just keep showing up, eventually over time it does reduce. And I think for you as well, like you were saying there, like a lot of it, you're saying that you're happy that you still have the motivation that you did
Mm.
from the start. Because like I feel like that's very like a slim line between like people that like consistently go to the gym. It's like I feel like if you just show up majority of the time, even on the days you don't want to gym, because there's some days like me and you talked before, like we don't want to like when we go in the gym, we just want to get in there and get out.
Yeah,
It's not
like
like you don't want to.
that's like fully
Yeah.
where I'm at every morning. Like I purposely go at like I go at 7, three, like I usually go like Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, and I
Mm.
purposely go at 7 because I just want to get it done and out of the way. Like in my thesis behind it is getting it out of the way, and also like it's less busy then, so there's less people, and like with less people comes less optical obstacles. So like if
Yeah,
someone's on a
yeah.
certain machine, that you might skip that day, or you might go, oh, I haven't got time because I've got to go to work or whatever like that. So I think like like a big thing for me has been like tearing down barriers in terms of like being like stuff I can make excuses for. And
Yeah.
like a big part of that is like because I went to the gym. There was one week where I just woke up late on a Friday. I woke up like 7:30, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the gym and get back on time for work.
Yeah.
So I went after, and like it was hell, and I hated it because it was packed. I couldn't get on any of the machines that I wanted to, and every single turn I wanted to say to myself, "Oh, I'll skip it. I'll
I'll
like
go
I'll
and
come back to it."
yeah.
But like it's about like finding what works for you and like tearing down those kind of barriers in a way, in my
And like,
experience,
look,
anyway.
it's good, like, because this now is gonna this period of you trying to lose the weight is gonna motivate you now and push you further for next year and see if you can lose even more. Like, and
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll have a new goal in mind and everything like that.
I want to double what I've done so far. So
Yeah,
I haven't been this light since I'd say like college. I'd say was the last time I was around the weight I'm at right now. So
class.
we'll keep. Well, let's think. I think like I was saying, like kind of saying to myself in my head this morning, like that I've done the hardest part now in terms of like just getting into routines and like I'm in the middle of a system and I'm
Yeah,
actively chucking away so it's a matter of just like not putting the brakes on that system. It's a matter of just like stay going to the gym 3 days a week, stay in my deficit, and going and going and going.
new wardrobe pending.
Oh man, I'm fucking sick of my. That's I know we've to move on to the topic, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll be able to see this, lads, right? So these jeans that I bought, right, they're 2 sizes lower than the jeans that I bought that I had when I started, and they're already too fucking big.
For anyone
Like,
that's on the audio, he's just stretching his pants out.
yeah, for any, yeah, but like, I cannot walk anywhere without a belt in my jeans, and these are new jeans that I bought like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's actually a pain the whole about losing weight is none of your clothes
Most
fit.
people say that,
There's
yeah.
no point in buying new clothes because because I am gonna lose more weight. Not
That's
probably.
it. That's it.
Speak with
If,
like absolute mindsets as well.
it'd be cool as well though, like when you do get to the desired weight that you want to get to, is like how you'll fit in them jeans then will be a bit of
Mm,
a mad kind of aspect to think about, like
yeah, I can't wait to
yeah.
just like eat bread like 2 days in a row. That's gonna be class.
Just in the
Shit
nip
like
eating
that.
the bread.
Yeah, like it's like I'm looking forward to like not having to like analyze every little thing I eat. Like, cause like when I come in from the gym in the mornings, like I'm like coming into the house, and depends if like traffic come back, I'm like sprinting around the lane. Like I need to get protein into me because you need like the sooner you get protein into you after a workout, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of
like
course.
I'm like rushing around the house, like get me some fucking eggs, or beans, or like protein shakes or something like that. I just like I need to get as much in as soon as possible after I do some workout, like.
Well, this is a good walkthrough to the topic now. So the topic I chose for this week is adult struggles or adulting struggles, however you want to word it. And I think the kind of like the concept of like why this kind of came up for me and where it was around was we were talking and work, and we were like laughing about like when you're a kid and like you really want to be a grown up, and then once you grow up you're like, oh, I'd love to be 12 again. And it's
Mm.
like, that no responsibility summers and things like around that area. So and I know like you're saying there like about like having to buy a new wardrobe, and it's not like when you're a kid and like you can rely on your parents to fund these things. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like around this area, like what kind of things have you noticed since like moving out, getting your own place, bills, adulting, and that kind of thing?
I just need to come at like whoever sets prices. Why the fuck's olive oil so expensive, man? Like,
Yeah.
why does olive oil and washing up powder have to be so expensive? What's the story with
I'm,
that?
I'm,
Like,
I'm with you there, man.
can we get that sorted? Honestly,
Yeah, yeah.
that's all I
Yeah,
have to say on
even
that.
and then like even here it's like for me like one thing I noticed is just like every month there's just like a random added bill. Like when you feel like you've got a little bit of extra cash and then oh, here's a bill just to remind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that is just like a pain.
Do you know what, like one of the big things is like, do you remember when you were a kid and you thought like 100 quid was like the world? You thought you could take over the world with
Oh
100 quid,
yeah.
and like now
Yeah.
you're like you get paid and it'll be whatever you get paid. Like I'm assuming that most people who are getting paid
It's
monthly are making
minimum.
over a grand
Yeah.
of some sorts.
Yeah.
Like and like you're
Mm.
like a grand's not a lot of money.
No.
Like you
In
get
this day and
paid
age, no.
and a grand leaves your account with your bills.
Hmm. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's just it bills just fucking suck, man. Well, no, the thing is they obviously provide a purpose, like but it's just so depressing to like get that adrenaline rush of you've just been paid, yay, hooray, and then like you're like right, okay, I've been paid, I better sort out all the bills and make sure there's food in the fridge, the lights stay on, we're not freezing to death at night, and then bam, you've
Yeah.
got 20 quid left for the
Whatever
month.
left over, yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's 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 a really depressing as well. Like from my For You page to speak, like I've been getting like loads of videos being like, you work 5 days a week, 9 to 5, to have 2 days at the weekend. You work all the weeks during the year and you get 5 weeks off. Like, choose your life, do what you want to do. And I'm like, the person who's writing this definitely just is making a living off Instagram by posting these videos. And like, here we are
yeah,
working our backs off, our arses off 9 to 5 every week and being able to enjoy our life 2 days a week. And it's like a kind of sad concept when you think about life and like that mundane kind of, day to day life can be, it's not as free as it was when you were a kid. Like
mm,
I kind of said there, like, do you remember like when you used to have 2 months, 3 months holidays? Probably when you're about like 15, 14, because most of us started working when we were like 16, 17, 18.
mm.
So that's like a time period that I kind of miss, like
Yeah,
just playing
I
all
think like
day
that's
and
a big shift from like when you go from like school and college into the workforce full
mhm,
time, that you just don't get any breaks whatsoever unless it's your paid leave. Like even at that, like most jobs give you what, like 20 days in Ireland, which
mhm,
is 4 weeks, but like it's a big adjustment because like in your school term, like basically getting the guts of 4 months off because you're getting like 2 or 3 months depending on how the weeks fall for the
True.
summer, depending on whether you're in primary and secondary as well. And then like you get weeks and 2 week blocks throughout the year where you're only actually in for 8 months. Now, obviously, you understand why because kids need the break and stuff. I'm not like what the fuck do they get a break? Do I not get a break? Like I'm not saying that like that. Like but it is like a big adjustment to go from that. I think I remember someone saying to me before that like they hired a girl in a job and like they hired her around like April time and they got to the end of June and she said to them like what are you guys doing for your summer and she was like oh like they were leaving at 5 o'clock on a Friday and she was like I'll see you in September and they were like what do you mean she was like oh we're off for our holidays now it's the end of June and they're like that's not a thing in the workforce like that's not how
It works.
jobs or taxes or
Our
adulting
life.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who
Even as
told me that, but like that story's popped up in the back of my head somewhere. Someone's told me that.
even as well, like thinking like on the concept of time as well. Like your time is very limited as well, like with seeing friends and family and maybe it's a bit more accessible if you're living with your partner or spend time with them, but you have to really work around people's schedules. Like, because like look at me now, I never thought I'd be going back into the weekend work of like kind of the college lifestyle of working, Saturdays and Sundays. And now like Nicola works Monday to Friday, kind of like 5 a.m. I'd say to like 4, and then I'm going to work at like 5 to 10 or 5 to 11. So you even have to let like struggle with them dilemmas. Like I know we're
Mm.
still fairly young, in terms of like people that may be working 9 to 5s back in Ireland, but like how do you kind of like go around that? And do you think that like adds like another adult pressure onto you?
Yeah, now I'm very lucky in the sense that my job's remote, so like I think
Hmm.
I get and like we've talked about. I won't talk about much because we've talked about the positives and negatives and not so much, but I think like that's been
Hmm.
such a big asset to me, where like I can sacrifice that time that like even like for me like when I used to in an old job where I used to be in the office 5 days a week in town I would spend an hour and a half just on a bus, you know, just going back to Blanche and like just being sat in that and it's like unproductive time, where like you can be putting that energy into something else and like just kind of like into like adulting like you can use that time to like tidy up the house, you can use that time to make yourself a meal, you can use that time to do something like walk the dog and stuff like that. It's like these are things that you like really have to like prioritize and like compartmentalize into like different parts of your life because I feel like as you're a kid like there's other people looking after those things like in school even like simple things like PE and stuff like they're making sure you're out getting your steps in playing a game of football connecting with people whereas like if you end up in a situation where like let's say you move out your parents house you house share or you get an apartment or something like that you go into the office and there's like a high chance you don't see anybody that you like want to connect with like the people and I'm not saying like anything negative about like people you work with like but like you're going to a place where you're forced to be with people and then you're going home to a home where you're forced to be with people and that applies to whether you're house sharing or whether you are living at home with family
Mm.
and stuff as well like it's like it's the lack of like option and flexibility and stuff whereas I feel like in school those like were pressures that weren't conscious to you because those things were taken care of because like you could go to school and you'd be in a class for the 30 people you can choose who you talk to on that day and usually in PE there was options of what you want to do like there was a bit more flexibility to life in that way
Mm.
whereas like when you're an adult like and the pressure to like stay in the rat rate as well is
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like you've got to be in it and then also need to be making chances like to make connections with friends and family and coworkers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a hard like dilemma to, and I think that's why like a big issue with people sometimes when they do become an adult is they find it hard to like break away from that college kind of slash school era, and it takes people a bit longer. And I think again, like we're saying, like we all live in the rat race, so it's kind of like how you can work around it, like making time for friends and family and your personal
Mm.
interests and stuff like that. Because like it can be a thing where like a lot of people like dive and put themselves into their work, and I think that is great. But I think it also is important that they relate back into what's important in life and friends and family and interests and stuff
I'd
like that.
actually disagree with you. I think it's more important to like because I've come across people I won't. They're mainly like people who I've worked with and stuff, and like they just put everything into their job.
Mm.
Makes them great at their job, but like they really struggle in other aspects. Whereas like I've found
Mm.
it's the people, and like I've found like in my life as well, when you take those breaks, when you prioritize like your mental well being and stuff, like which is like it's also like something that like as an adult you have to look after
Mm-hmm.
yourself as well. Like no, because whereas like it's another thing in school like that people will look out for you. Like I had that happen to me. Like very luckily, I'm very grateful that my teacher stepped in when they did because I was going through a bit of a rough patch when I was like 14, and like they noticed it in the school, and I got sent to counselling then.
Mm-hmm.
And had they not stepped in, I could have gone down like a very
A
different
different
path,
path.
like
Yeah.
and whereas like and like that was great, and that really opened me up to the idea of going to counselling, seeing a therapist, like and like being very aware of my mental well being at quite a young age. Whereas like as an adult, if someone doesn't step in like that, it's why I feel especially like amongst lads, it's quite like a sensitive. Not I don't know if sensitive the right words, but like
No,
it's
it
why
is. I think it
there's a
is.
hesitance in a lot of guys to go
Mm.
to
To
therapy or to
therapy.
pursue it, or even just to like acknowledge it.
Mm.
Even like it's not even like a thing of like, oh, they look into it and they just go, I don't think I can afford it, or I don't think I can, like it'd be for me. It's like they won't even like give the thought the time of day because it's just not something that it's not something
Is
that's
the
come up
norm.
for them,
It's not the social norm, really. I
yeah.
think the more I was kind of talking about in terms of the worth ethic, though, I was talking about more like for people that maybe they find it hard to find a purpose in life, they put themselves into their work. And I think that's a beneficial thing for them, not only financially, but it gives them a kind of a purpose. But then again, on the dark side of that, like you were saying there, is like they kind of can then forget that to look after their own well-being, and they're
Mm.
pushing everything else to the side, which then affects their life. So that's kind of what I was getting at. But I can understand what you're saying. Like there is like, I mean, we talked about it before about like kind of men's health and the kind of different external and internal things and environments that kind of affect that for men accessing counseling services and stuff like that. So I can see that that's another added pressure to young men and people, not just men as well, women as well. So yeah.
Mm.
Mm. Is there anything else that you have on like the topic that you'd like kind of like you've noticed as you've gotten a bit older?
Um. Yeah, I think we've rushed across
Mm.
most that's like kind of come straight to my head. I'm sure there's lots of other things like like we
Yeah.
even just like actually like relationship management, and I
Hmm.
mean that in terms of not just like your partner, like but like managing relationships with co-workers, with your friends. It's one thing I think I think I may have said this before on the podcast, but I think our generation is really really good at like understanding
People are busy.
how people are busy, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Whereas like I find with like older generations, people aren't as understanding, or like
Mm.
they think that you're not speaking to them. Like I've got one or two family members that like if I don't speak to them for a couple like 2, 3, 4 weeks or whatever, like it's not me being like I'm not talking to you. It's just I'm busy. I'm like life's
Hmm.
coming up. I've got a full time job. I'm rehearsing. I'm playing gigs and playing football, and like I've just got things going on, and I'm not like actively ignoring you. I just like haven't texted and checked in, which like granted should be done as well. But like I feel like our generation like kind of gets it a bit
Mm.
more.
Do you think that can
And
be due to like a generational thing to do with culture? Like, like the things that weren't the norm for them growing up. Like for example, for us, we were kind of brought into this social media world and everything. We have a lot more accessibility and a lot more connections where for them it was a bit different. They didn't have that accessibility, that kind of opportunities like that we do, a bit more flexible. Do you think that like that plays a part in why they think, oh, you're not contacting me and no, you know, we're not
yeah,
relating on too much of a strong connection kind of thing.
for me, for me and my experience, I would definitely say so because like the folks I am specifically kind of thinking of are people who like didn't grow up with this sort of stuff at all. So I think for the likes of myself and yourself who've like grown up with this technology that have always had the option to be connected, that's like we like I think we understand it more because of that. Whereas the older generation, because this is a newer thing for them, and like the option to connect in this way, like like for example, like us doing this right now, this podcast right now, you're sitting in Switzerland, I'm sitting in Ireland, and we're catching up, we're doing like a creative endeavor together, and stuff like that. Like, like generations before, like 10 years ago, this couldn't be done. Like, well, maybe it could in some form, but not as easily, not as accessibly
Accessibly, yeah.
as it could be done right now. And because we've kind of grown up into this, or like grown up with like all these kind of familiar kind of concepts, I think it makes it easier for us to kind of understand what's going on in each other's lives and be able to keep up in that way. Whereas, like, for older generations, it might just be like it's a big difference, for them to have this kind of like just thrown on their lap.
Yeah.
And in a good way of, like, it's like, oh, I can connect with all these people, and blah, like, I can do all these things and stuff. But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of going in circles now, saying the same thing over and over again. Like, but yeah, I just feel I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's a generational thing based off connection on what we grew up with.
Interesting. If anyone would like to contact us, or talk about kind of some of the topics that we reach on, you can reach us at the distance dilemma pod at gmail.com, and you can also reach us on the Instagram page as well.
Look at that, you're getting the email
there
first.
you go,
lads. Look at that.
I had to get Shaun off the topic, or we would have been going around in circles all day.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let Shaun introduce our pop culture / current affairs section for this week.
So current affairs for this week, we had our Spotify Wrapped released this week, and I'm talking about our personal music ones, because me and Imran tried to look at the Distance Dilemma ones and we cannot get into the account. So, Imran, tell me about your Spotify Wrapped for the year.
Again, a couple of surprises, and then a couple of things that are like made sense. I mean, I knew that I don't have the statistics up in front of me, but from what I can remember off the top of my head, it was like the usual rap in the, these were the genres that were kind of into. The one thing I was like actually impressed by that was that I listened to like over 2,000 artists this year, which was pretty cool. So I was pretty happy with that. That I'm trying to, every year I'm trying to upgrade my listening in terms of like listening to artists and bands and stuff that maybe I didn't listen to the year before. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I thought I would have had more minutes. I don't know if that's me every year. I always feel like I listen to music more than I actually do, because I do play music a lot in the background when I am in the house, and if I'm like, obviously when I'm going to work, and majority of the time I have background noise because I have ADHD and I can't sit still for 2 seconds. What about you? Like, what kind of things were you surprised about, and were you not surprised about? Because I do know you primarily use Apple Music, am I right?
Yeah, I don't use Spotify.
You don't use Spotify. You use it for the podcast, of course, and your own music.
Yeah, so like I'll like make sure everything's working and such, but I don't pay for Spotify Premium or anything. Like, I'm an Apple girly through and through, and I've been on the Apple hype train for about 10 years. I did it before it was cool. So I don't have Spotify Wrapped. I have Apple Replay. Same thing. But yeah, I was surprised with my top genre this year was pop music, which I was kind of surprised about, because like I do definitely listen to pop. I feel like my gym playlist had a massive impact on that, because like I was listening to
the girlies.
More. Yeah, I have so many Sabrina Carpenter, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish songs in my gym playlist. Like, especially, man, like when Dua Lipa sings "Training Season," you better know I'm pushing them glutes. You better know it. But I didn't realize kind of like how much pop I'd listened to. It did make sense when I thought about it, but like, for years my top genre has been like hard rock, metal, that sort of kind of vibe, or like indie rock, like yourself. Like, no, it tends to be some form of rock music, like, especially like because my top artists are always like the Foo Fighters, Arctic Monkeys, The Darkness. Like, they're always those artists that are my top artists, whereas I didn't have that this year. And the other kind of surprise for me was my top album, which is kind of funny, but like it's also like not ironic, because it is a fucking banger of an album. It's an album I know every single person who is listening to this has listened to. It's ABBA Gold, Greatest Hits.
Oh yeah. You must have been on an ABBA buzz this year.
Well, what that was, where I was saying to Simone, where I think that came from, is we covered an ABBA song in our set list earlier this year. It was Does Your Mother Know? And I just had saved the version from that album. But what would happen a lot of the time was I would replay that over and over again to try and learn the song. But then after I do that, I just let the rest of the album play, because it's a fucking great album.
You
You
know
just
what?
sit there
It's
and listen
that.
to Chiquitica and Fernando and Dancing Queen and all the
Yeah,
classics.
yeah, all the classics. It's kind of funny that you said that now. Like, I just got a memory from when I was in Iceland in the car with Nicola. So that there'd be obviously times where we're driving for 2 to 3 hours in the car. It can be a bit boring. So you've got all the tunes on. You're switching between the different genres, keep it exciting, whatever. And ABBA came on, and we don't know. We just started talking about ABBA. People in the car, like saying like, what's their first memories of ABBA, and like what are they growing up. And like Nicola genuinely didn't know that they're like a Swedish pop group. Like she was just blown away. She thought they were from the UK. And like I was like explaining like, oh no, like they're from Stockholm, and like there's four
Came from Eurovision.
members. Yeah, Eurovision. I was like, it's two dudes, two girls, and Nick was like, I thought it was like all girls, and I was like, no, 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 but young
That's
pad one. But it's mad.
uh,
Like some people like just aren't, like. And I think Nick's not the only person, but like there's a lot of people that aren't into music like as much as like we sometimes can be a bit progressive when we're like talking about movies and directions, and like we know too much rather than to the people that aren't, they just act just they just listen to music. They're not like into like knowing where the band's from. Da, 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 da. So
mm,
it was kind of funny, like 'cause it was a funny contrast for her, like to find all that out. She was like, "What?" And obviously a lot
that's
of people relate the movie then to, or sorry, ABBA, sorry, to Mamma Mia as well. So
yeah. Look, ABBA's just gold. Like there's
yeah,
not like I've yet to come across somebody who does not like ABBA.
doesn't like ABBA,
Like I
especially
don't.
on a night out, in my opinion. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's
Like
it's top.
ABBA is, no pun intended, the gold standard. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they seriously are like just insane. Like I've never come across a catalog because like there's obviously artists and bands that everyone likes most of their songs.
Yeah,
Like
like the
unfortunately
Beatles.
Michael Jackson, or the Beatles, or Nirvana would probably be up there as well. Like where like everyone at least likes most of their a good portion of their songs. But like ABBA is like universal. Everyone loves pretty much everything they've ever done. Like they don't have a bad couple of singles. Like like Ed Sheeran would be a good example. Everyone, while Ed Sheeran writes excellent songs and he's a fantastic singer, all these sort of things, he's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people
No,
dislike him. You don't have that with
no,
ABBA. You just don't.
no. Yeah, it's even like the thing. Even if pop music's not your thing, you can understand like why it's so popular. And like I'm like that with a thing. It's like thinking like I'm not into musicals, but I understand why musicals do so well on like a global aspect, especially not just for children. Like because obviously a lot of people bring their kids to, there's a lot of singing with Disney movies and stuff like that. But I can understand and appreciate why musicals are so big and have been such a big impact. Like growing up, like for me, like I used to love the Wizards of Oz growing up. People like the Sound of Music is another one that kind of like our age growing up was another one, kind of like the same
Mm,
thing. So I can understand why it's so big and has such an impact on people. Like,
mm.
um,
Just wrapping up on this one. What was your
I,
top song and top artist?
uh, my top artist was Cardi, and then I only have my top five artists here, so I'm gonna do that. My top five artists was Cardi, Outkast, The Smiths, Fontaines, and Michael Jackson. Which I'm actually surprised about. Like two of them on the list. Like I don't know how Michael Jackson got on there because I am a big Michael Jackson fan, and I have a lot of songs, but I actually didn't think I listened to him that much. And Fontaines again, I don't know. I listened to their album at the start of the year a lot, and then I kind of fell off them for a while. So that was what I was really surprised about.
Mm.
Um, and sorry, one second, I do have my top song here. You can say yours while I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, you can probably guess who my top artist is. They're my top artist every year.
Probably the Foo
It's
Fighters, one person.
no the
Or the
Cronus.
Cronus. Yeah,
Yeah, the
sorry, that was my
Cronus.
second guess. Yeah.
And then my top song this year was actually my top. I find my top song like stays the same for years on end, like for years. And like I know this is like so vanilla and so basic, but I don't really know why it was always up there. I never thought it was always up there, but it was always "Do I Want to Know" by Arctic Monkeys. But I feel like it's just one of those songs when it comes to the
Really?
playlist. Yeah, I just feel it's one of those songs when it comes to the playlist I just didn't skip an awful lot. Like it's
Yeah.
not something I was actively putting on a lot. I just, and before the last kind of 2 years, I would have listened to a lot more new music than I have been for the last 2 years. The last 2 years, I've really fallen off like actively like going out of my way to listen to new music. So I
Mm.
feel like that contributed to that. Where like when I did stick on a playlist, it would be a song that I just really wouldn't skip, and it wasn't so much I was listening to that album or that song specifically so much. It was just like of the songs that were getting repeat listens that was just up there because I was in a playlist,
This is
Um,
actually surprising. Sorry, I have it here. I didn't actually. I actually thought I clicked in. I didn't actually look at my song list. It's Sade or Sade for people that don't know how to pronounce it. It's Kiss of Life. I don't know if you've heard that song before, but yeah, I'm just surprised she got into because this year, I don't know, for a lot of reasons on TikTok, she got really popular again.
Right.
But yeah, there you go.
And my top song then was 99 Red Balloons, but specifically the Goldfinger version of 99 Red Balloons. Do you know that version?
That's by Nina is the singer, no?
That's the original.
Okay, that's the original.
So Goldfinger are a punk band. I think they're from the States.
No
Again,
idea.
this was because, well, to be fair, I was listening to the song on repeat for quite a long time, and then we decided to add it to our playlist. So, like, not only was I listening to it, sorry, added to our set list, not playlist, but not only was I listening to it because I thought it was a banger,
Ah,
then I was also,
Goldfinger. Here we go. Yeah, sorry. I just have it in front of me. I'm reading up about her now.
yeah, it's basically a punk rock version of 99 Red Balloons. It's fucking class. And the
Right,
last
I'll
verse
give
of
it a
it
listen.
is in German. Are you listening to it now or after the podcast?
Well, I listened to it after the podcast. I know I'm just reading it here. It says that it was released in 1983 in West Germany. So it's
Yeah.
a fairly old song,
Banger
actually.
of a cover,
Yeah,
lads. 99 Red Balloons.
yeah.
Gold,
Because
the
I think I
Goldfinger
know
version.
the Nina song. I've definitely
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
heard
you
that
definitely know.
before. Yeah, yeah,
Everyone knows
yeah.
the
Or
Nina
everyone knows
version.
it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Did
So
you,
yeah, there you go.
when you say your top artist was Cardi, is that Cardi B?
No, Playboy Cardi.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's there. But Outcast was like another one that I've like. Obviously, like I'm a big old school rap fan, so like I'm not surprised that they're there. But I'm like the Smiths is funny because like every time I see like the Smiths, I just always think of that meme from what's that movie called? 500 Days of Summer, is it? I think that's the
Right.
movie where
Oh, yeah.
it's like I love the Smiths. Yeah, yeah.
That's a
Like
great
every
film.
time. Yeah,
Great
yeah, it's
film.
a great movie. Yeah, one of the better romantic comedies or
Yeah.
dramas. But yeah, so we'll move on to our dilemmas for the week. So this is the part of the show where people send in your distance dilemmas, and I shuffle them up. Normally, Shaun says this section. I've just noticed it like 2 weeks for like two times in this podcast now that I've actually taken the lead. But here we go. He's
That's
getting
grand. That's
confident.
fine by me.
He's
I'm gonna take a quick hydration break. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he's getting confident. Yeah, so you send your dilemmas into us. I get them in. I don't even look at them. I shuffle them all together. Sometimes I reword them. And again, if you feel like you want to send some in, we're always welcome to more. You can reach us at the at the distance dilemma pod at gmail.com and then the Instagram page if you feel to. So I'll kick on with the first one anyway. So one of my closest friends for years is super negative lately, and I'm finding myself being drawn into that energy. Should I pull away slowly or try comfort them? I'll let you go first in this one.
This is difficult. It's a really fine line how you handle this for me. I've had this once or twice, and like I think like you need to maybe understand what's going on in their life first. Is there a reason for it? There doesn't have to be a reason. You can just be having a bad couple of weeks, couple of months, whatever. Um, but then maybe it's time to mention it to them. I think you should definitely like say to them, "Hey, I've noticed like your mindset has been a bit negative, or like the way you're talking, or the way it can be a body language thing as well. Like I'm not sure what the full context behind the scenario is, but I do definitely think it's something you should be like addressing with them, and not from like a confrontational way as well. Like because if they are being negative in some form, there's likely a reason for that. So it's probably better to kind of like tread like this is kind of like how I would like look at it from an optimistic thing of like, right, okay, they're probably not trying to be negative, like something's going on in their life, and they may not have told you, or there could be any reason for that, like they might be embarrassed, they might just not be comfortable sharing it with you as well. But I think like if you make them aware of their kind of behavior and like just ask, is there anything you can do to help? Of course, like you're saying, this has a negative effect on you, and like I totally get that, and it can be really hard to want to be around that type of energy. And for me, it's about like communicating it up front and just saying, look, I've noticed this. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help? If it then gets to a point where, like, you feel like it's more their lifestyle, their habits, like, like if it's like a case of like drink or drugs or, like, I know in my case, like, I probably haven't been the best crack to be around because of my eating habits and that stuff, like, sort of stuff like that. If it's stuff like that you can't really control, and they're also sticky things to kind of talk about in friendships as well, because you obviously aren't their family, or you might not be close enough with them to kind of address them about that sort of thing. That's where you maybe might consider pulling back. But I would try and be a bit more optimistic about it first, and try and approach it as like, oh, my friend is down for a reason, and try and help them in that way. But I also understand that, like, if they're having a negative impact on you, that can, be disheartening and make you want to pull away. Maybe like changing up the activity you guys do together as well. Like, instead of like, if you guys are meeting up and you're going for drinks, change up and go for a walk instead, or do something like more kind of productive and stuff that's going to produce dopamine rather than, and drinking might do that for you. This is just an example again. I don't really know the full context to it.
Mm. I kind of like what you're saying there. Like, obviously, it's kind of hard to reach the lines here because we don't have a lot of context to the situation. But playing devil's advocate, just it's big. I'm just reading through the lines here. Maybe this has been going on like a long period of time, and me personally, like, I've been in situations like not with friends, but in kind of work atmospheres lately where I've been being drawn into negative energy, and we've kind of reiterated this point over the past weeks about kind of looking after yourself. So if it is affecting you, it might be good to have a conversation with your friend and just say, look, I am here for you. Um, if you need to talk to someone, I'm here and we can figure stuff out together. But I can see as well, like, there is sometimes a disheartening effect that can play on you. So, I kind of agree with Sean. Like, put yourself in a situation first where you're in good energy and good remarks with yourself so that you can support them, but don't let it overthrow you and yourself, because if you do that, then it's not going to be healthy for that person and yourself while trying to talk things out and give them advice. But yeah, it's a tricky one again. But I would say overall the situation, I would say first try to comfort them, and then the second option then is, if it's too much affecting you, then maybe try to pull away from the situation. But again, like me and Sean, when we read these, we're always trying to read through the lines, and we're trying to give different concepts and situations, so we're trying to do our best with what we get. But is there anything
Yeah,
else you want to say on that? Yeah.
I think like pulling away should be like a
The
last
last, yeah, yeah.
step, like, and that doesn't also, but pulling away, I feel like, the phrasing of that is like really important. Like, pulling away isn't the same as cutting them off. It's not like you're arguing and saying, "Oh, well, no, I don't want to be around you because you're a negative bastard," or something like that. It's not that type of thing. But you also, like Imran said there, you have to put yourself first in these things. And if being around this person is bringing you down, and you've explored these other avenues where you've tried to help them, or you've tried to talk to them and change the kind of settings you meet up in and stuff, I think once it gets to that point, then pulling away sounds like a better idea than sticking around and, like, making yourself upset or negative or anything like that.
Yeah. I agree with Sean there on his last point. So we'll move on to our second one. Kind of different to the first one, but my job's pays well, but I'm miserable. I've been thinking about quitting to chase something creative, but I'm scared of losing financial security. What would you guys do?
I'll let you talk on this one because you might have a bit more experience with having moved
Yeah,
country and stuff.
yeah. I mean, from my own personal experience, myself and Nicola, after we finished college, went to intern. I've kind of said this on the podcast before. We went traveling for 3 months. We came back, and the initial thing when we came back is we didn't feel like there was opportunity or an avenue for myself and Nicola in Ireland at the time. I had been dealing with some things personal in my personal life that kind of made me want to move away for a while, just to get a bit of space for not only myself, and but also an opportunity to make some financial income for me and Nicola, so that we could live together, and like a lot of people my age now, buy a house. And the thing that, like, I came back from traveling and I went straight into a 9 to 5 job. I'd never worked a 9 to 5 job, like 40-hour week, before, and it was for me honestly like I did enjoy working there, but a lot of the thing that I found was that I was put in situations where I was being brought into negativity. I was going to work, I was very miserable, um, and I had no outlet, and I felt like I needed a change. So one thing I would say in this situation here is like money comes and goes, and I know it can be a bit scary to make that leap for yourself. And maybe like we again, I don't know if this person has a partner or if they're with themselves, but like me and Nicola spoke for a long time back and forth before we actually made the decision that we were going to go. Even when she got the call to say that she had a job opportunity over there in Switzerland, we spoke back and forth for a long time about, what's the pros, what's the cons. But overall, I would say, you only live one life, and I know it can be a bit cheesy. If you don't chase that creative dream or take the chance, you'll look back in 15, 20 years and be like, oh, I regret I didn't do that. I regret I didn't take the opportunity. So I feel like if you are in a situation where, you maybe are a bit younger and, you live at home and you maybe can rely on other people, take the opportunity, take the chance. I'm sure even discuss it with your parents, and maybe you can get a bit of help pursuing your creative dreams that this person is saying. I don't like, again, we're reading through the lines here, so I'm just trying to give my own, you know, opinion on what I'm reading. And then on the kind of like the co side of that, if you are like, paying rent and doing this kind of things, just maybe chase your dream and ask work, can you like rely back and work less hours, and don't leave yourself in a situation where you're affecting your own life, but also give yourself an opportunity to chase your dream. And I think that is important because like I do think Sean's gonna have a really good aspect on this because of his musical dream and his career, so and his aspirations. So I'll let him kind of speak on the topic as well.
Yeah, like I agree with some things you're saying, but I also disagree with some things you're saying. The one thing I will say is like, it's very dependent on your situation, whether you've got children, whether you live at
Yeah,
home, whether
of
you're
course, of
renting something,
course.
whether you have any debts, if you have a car. All these little things really matter when you're going to make a decision like this.
Hmm.
So like, and I went through a period where I got suddenly laid off from a job, and I was out of work for a couple of months, and I was lucky enough to be able to afford to live, on like I was living on social welfare, like, but I had saved up a bit of money while I was working, so didn't have a lot of money, but I also like could afford to not take a job because I didn't think it was the right fit for me, which ends up being the right choice because I ended up getting a job that was a much better fit for me and works really well for my lifestyle right now. Like, so I don't regret that decision. However, if I was in that situation right now, I don't know if I could do the same thing because
Hmm.
I got bills to pay. I've got to pay my half of the rent. We've got a dog, so it's a really fine line. I do agree with what you're saying about if you don't kind of take those chances, you may live to regret them. So I do think you should try and pursue an avenue where you can go down that. So for me, music is my ultimate goal. Like, I want to be self-sustained. I want to basically be able to quit my job and live off my music. I don't care if I am selling out stadiums. I don't care if I'm playing to rooms of 50 people. I just want to be able to work for myself pretty much and live off my music. That's how. It doesn't have to be my music. Like, it can be playing in another band. It can be teaching. I just want music to be like my primary source of income in that way. So, I've taken the steps over the years to move towards that goal. Like, and it's about making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and trying to like effectively utilize the time you have. Now, if you're saying a job is making you miserable, that's a big factor to it as well. Like, if I had a job like that before. It was the same job I was talking about earlier, where like I had to go into town 5 days a week. Like, I used to come home crying because I was miserable in the place, and it's not worth the paycheck. Because I had a bit of a bump in pay when I went from the job I had before that to that office job, and I kept trying to justify it for weeks because I was making a bit more money. I was able to afford to do more things. Now, at that time, it's also important to know I didn't have a house. I lived with my grandparents. I was paying them 100 quid a week, and I was getting my food, electricity, all that included. So I had a bit more flexibility to put money away to, do other things because I had less responsibilities, which then ends up coming back good for me because I was able to spend a couple of months until I found the right job for me. So like it's tough, but if a job is genuinely making you miserable, like if it's draining your soul to go in there, I do think regardless of like chasing that creative endeavor, you need to get out of that environment. And like Imran said, there money will come and go.
Hmm.
And there was one thing that I was very scared of. It's like, oh my god, like if I don't have money coming in, you will adapt. Like you will
Hmm.
stop spending money on certain things. You will your scenarios and your habits will change because like it's little things like you might spend. This is just an assumption. You might spend 50 quid a week on a mix of lunch, buses, coffees, chewing
Drink.
gum in the shops, popping down just to get a Coke, stuff like that. That 50 quid all of a sudden isn't getting spent. And there's like
Yeah.
little spending habits like that, or like because you're in town, you might go shopping, or you might meet up with a friend because you're in town and they're in town. Stuff like that will fade out, and you'll naturally adapt to like lower spending habits and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
for me,
Yeah.
if the job is making you that miserable, you should leave it. It's not worth any
Yeah.
amount of money. It really
I'm in the
isn't.
same boat as you. Definitely. I
However,
think if
sorry, you go ahead. I've been speaking for ages. You go ahead.
no, just the one thing I'd say is that's kind of the point I was gonna say. And if it is making you miserable, and like I've definitely been in situations like you were saying there, where you're coming home from work and you're crying and it's just overwhelming, and the lasting effect that has on you, it can put you in a really, really like negative mindset and negative spot where you've no motivation to do anything else in your life, and that can then pay effect to your family or your friends or your relationships or your interests that you may have. So the one thing I say, I agree with Sean there, is that if it is making you miserable, just look at different avenues. Maybe it's time to just get a new job, or again, like in this situation, chase your creative dream.
Yeah. So like, and with that, like, but you're if you're in a lucky enough position to be able to wait out a few weeks, like look for new jobs. Like you don't have to take a job next week. You don't have to take the first one that gets offered to you. Like and I think once you've accepted that fact that you are going to be leaving or you're going to be moving on, that does lift a massive weight off your shoulders in some form as well. It makes you, if you're somebody who like really cares about your work, but then like you're going to move on, like and I know this might like not sound the best, like but you will put less energy into your work, but put more energy into yourself and your creative endeavors, like with it got like I'm assuming like they're gonna want to go full time in something creative and artsy, something like photography, or maybe it's music, or maybe it's videography, or maybe it's doing lessons in the local community center. Just make sure you have a backbone. Now, I do have a really close friend of mine, who did something like this. He left a good paying job and now he works for himself, and he doesn't make nearly as much money, but he says to me constantly it's the best decision he ever made, and he's never been happier in his life.
So that's kind of
So
what's most important in my
yeah,
opinion.
that's what I
Yeah.
take from it. Again, it really depends on your scenario. I'm not saying you should just go and quit your job. I'm saying, if it's making you miserable, you should definitely explore other avenues and chase something creative. You absolutely should do that. And with your next job or with that, just make sure you can do those in harmony.
Yeah. I have no notes, Sean. That
No,
was brilliant.
thank you very much. Cheers.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going to have to wrap it up for this week, guys. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Distance Lemma podcast. My name is Shaun. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This has been Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. This is our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 43. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you again next week at 7 a.m. Central European Time, 6 a.m. Irish Time, every single Monday. Thank you very much, and goodbye.